Good morning and welcome back to Planet Craft. I hope you're all okay and you found us okay. So today we're going to be doing some work with frames. So I'm going to start in canvas because that's probably the simplest way and where most of you will start. Then I'm going to go to Infinity and take it a little bit further and show you how to do a frame in there. And then I'm going to go into Illustrator and Inkscape after that as well. So, to get started, hopefully you've all measured your thinnest adhesive tape. And the reason I got you to do that is so that you have a base measure which you know you don't want to drop below. Okay? So, if you know that the card or the material that you are cutting can't handle that narrow width, then go a bit wider. But mine works out at 4mm, so we'll be using that throughout this morning. Don't forget to put a hi or a thumbs up in the comments, just to let us know that you're here. Ian is here manning the comments.
I am. So we have Zena and we have Carol and we have Tracy.
Hello, hello, hello.
Anybody else? No. Hello.
Don't be shy, let us know you're watching. We're all friendly here, honestly.
I think Zena's on YouTube. I do have both YouTube and Facebook open, so I'm watching cross pounds. If I do miss your messages, please bear with me because I'm doing cross two phones for different tasks.
I'm not helping him much today. So just because I've got everything open, I've tried to keep everything else to a minimum. So I'm going to start off with just a plain old boring square. I'm going to bring it in a little bit. Okay. I'm going to go to Edit. And I'm going to go to Offset, and I'm going to go to my 4mm. So you can see your offset you can actually be quite accurate with. Okay, I want to leave my original line as is and go OK. Now we want to go into layer and we want to check to see which one's on top. Oh, we went in the wrong direction. That's okay, can undo that. It's early in the morning. Well, let me do that again. So, offset, inward. There we go. So make sure you're going in rather than out. Just so that if you have a particular size that you're working with. Okay. Then you'll select both and you'll subtract. So then when we give it a colour, we can make it red and you can see that you have a frame. Now I would recommend using a colour for when you're doing frames so that you can see that you've done that subtraction step. The reason that we do subtract is so that when we then take it to our mat it moves as one and it also sizes as one. So given that this width here is our narrowest tape measurement, what you don't want to do from there is shrink it down, because then we know that we're going narrower than our tape. So if we go undo. However, you can go upwards. So watch what happens to the line when we do this. So we're going to expand it and you can see that automatically our frame line here gets bigger. Okay. So we can always go bigger, but our lines become bolder when we do so. And when we go smaller, our lines are going to become thinner. Quick sip of coffee.
I'm not sure how you always miss the start, because I think you were first in this morning, Tracy. So.
Oh. Is it not switching straight over to me going hello?
Don't know.
Did you see the stream starting picture, Tracy?
I would say time delay, but it shouldn't
Okay.
make a difference.
So
Mum's watching.
let's say, if we go back to undo, so we put it back to its original state. We start off with a smaller square. Morning, Mum. So I'm going to go down. Let's keep it to a nice size so that we can always get back. So I'm going to go for a 5cm square. I'm going to go to offset I'm going to do that same 4mm, and we can go OK. We can subtract and stick in our colour. Okay, so your border width's the same, but again, if we then enlarge that, you can see to go up to the same size as previously, you get an even bolder line.
Not sure there then, Tracy. I only saw stream starting and then kept going around for 2 minutes or more.
Oh. I wonder, because YouTube took ages to connect. Perhaps what I'll do is I'll leave it a bit longer before I start then. So we're just working in canvas, Tracy. And we're talking about basic frames. So ideally you always want to be designing your design at the size that you're going to use it, but we all know that, you know, things don't happen like that. You decide on the fly you're going to enlarge it, you can decrease it. So that's the one thing you need to bear in mind, is just that width for that frame.
Carol started okay.
Oh, that's odd then. And that's the same whether you do a rectangle or if you do a hexagonal or some other funky shape. That line will always get thicker. So what I would recommend you doing, if you're creating sort of a variety of basic frames to work with, is that you create them all at different sizes but with that same width. Okay, so let's say we drop in another square and we'll make this one 75. Okay, now I'm just going to move it over here just so we can see it a bit better. And offset again. Now your offset will always come on top, which is why you can then do the subtract without having to shuffle anything around. And let's give it a different colour. So the benefit of doing this is that then when you go up your sizes, you still have a variety with the different border widths, if that makes sense. So far so good? Okay. Next I'm going to move on to Affinity, because we have to do it a bit different in Affinity. So in Affinity there's no offset command. So I'm just going to set this to the same 100 that we had in. Let me just take that out. There we go. So if we work from here, what we have to do instead is we have to use our stroke. So you can turn your stroke onto a solid line, and in your figure here you're going to put your 4mm. Okay, it will automatically convert it to points, that's fine. And you want to do it so that the line comes to the inside of your path, which is this middle button just here. So if I zoom in. So in your line you want to go to this one here. So I'll zoom back out and then click it. So you can see straight away the difference that makes. So that's how your line automatically draws. That's what it does when you change over. So you can see it brings that line inside. Okay. Then what you're going to do is you're going to go to Layer and down to Expand Stroke. You can delete your original rectangle. Ooh. Don't want to delete both of them. And we can still give it a funky colour if we want to. Okay, so long as that funky colour is in the big whole circle up here, you know that that is set up correctly. If it's in this one round here, what that means is you haven't done your expand stroke yet. So Let me know if you need me to zoom in on that, but you should be able to see that on yours. And we can do the same for each subsequent square. So if we go into transform, I'm going to go to our 75 and
Carol, what does expand stroke do?
Expand stroke literally takes that stroke and turns it into a shape. So at the moment, if we were to send that to our cutting machine, it would literally still cut around the outside of the square and do nothing else with that square. When we then go to expand stroke, if we turn on the node tool, and I'll just take that fill out keep that off for a minute. There we go to this one. So you can then see that we have two paths that go around the stroke instead. So you end up with a frame that we can then change the fill on.
It's not a silly question. There's no such thing.
No, there's no such thing as a silly question. And expand stroke is one of the most useful tools that you have in Affinity. So it's worth knowing what it does and how you can use it to help you. So never ever think that it's a stupid question. I mean, I was using it at 7 o'clock this morning to do a little doodle, so if I show you, give you a quick preview. So this here was a brush pen that we used, so the little vector brush, and then I used the expand stroke on that afterwards to turn it into a shape so that it will actually cut around the outside.
So it does not make the stroke wider?
No, it doesn't make the stroke wider. It literally outlines the existing stroke, and it can give the appearance of making the stroke wider if you still have a stroke applied to that shape. So, for instance, if we go to our frame here, and at the moment we have no stroke, which is what it means when it's white with a red line through it. If I then apply a stroke, so let's say we're going to go chocolate, and we increase that, you can see that it would have the appearance of making it look wider than it is, but the actual path that it's going to cut is still exactly the same. Okay. And that would be the case until you went to expand stroke to then have another double frame if you really wanted to. But we'll not worry about that for now, because when we start doing layers upon layers upon layers, it can get confusing. Keeping it simple for today. So finally I'm going to go in for the 5cm box.
Thank you.
That's okay. And again I'm going to go for the 4mm. And going to go to expand stroke. And delete the rectangle. So we have there we go. Now the reason I showed you the other way in Canvas is Canvas doesn't have the option to expand your stroke currently. Not in the same way anyway.
But that's why I use offset instead.
Yeah. But for many people the offset way is easier, so that's why I started in that one. So let's say you have Illustrator next, and with Illustrator you can do it either way. So what I will do is I'll do one way and then one the other. It's going to put in a box.
Your boxes around the top. Looks a bit cluttered up there.
It does, doesn't it? There we go. Just so you can see it a bit better. And just so I can see here, I'm going to pull up my little transform panel. It's there. So I'll start off with the 100mm box. Okay. Then I'm going go to our stroke. 4 mil. And we can still go to the inside. And then we can go to... So long since I've done something like that. Still kept the original as well, just to confuse. So turn that one off. There we go. So that's just expanded in. And
do you want to tell people what you did there?
Out the way.
You sort of mumbled it across to yourself.
Sorry. So what I did was go to Object, and then Expand Appearance was available. Okay. So we can go expand again if we want to.
So it was all on time. Must train people not to call just before 11 a.m.
Okay. And we can do it the other way too, so we can bring in our square. Still 100 by 100. And path. So object, path, offset path. Now here it doesn't ask you inwards or outwards, so you have to do it by -4 mil. And go OK. Then you've got your 2 squares on top of each other. Going to select them both. Then we're going to go to Pathfinder and subtract. So we have our 2 frames. Inkscape. Now this is going to be testing my memory because Inkscape's only just started working back on the Mac, hasn't it?
It has.
For starters, I have to try and remember to use PC key presses half the time. Right, let's go a bit bigger.
I don't brought through the Mac ones yet. Was the update?
No. Or at least it doesn't seem to have like the usual ones that you'd expect. It's got some, but the ones that you expect, like Zoom and stuff, don't seem to work. Okay. Come in with a box. This is where I'm going to go. Up there. So 100. 100.
If anybody does have any questions, I am here to answer, or ask Natalie if I don't know the answer.
Occasionally Natalie might not know the answer, but I try my best. There we go. I was in the wrong section. So, again with Inkscape, you can do the stroke to a path if you want to, or you can do offset. Now I would say it is worth playing with the offset in Inkscape. It's a little bit temperamental. So we'll here we go, but you'll see that it just random things, like when you do the inset offset, it just tweaks slightly, and then like, oh yeah, I've done that, and it's like no, that's not what I want you to do. Dynamic offset is interesting because you have to kind of weird. There's no easy way of doing it, which is why I said, in some cases it's easy to do the stroke, in other cases it's easy to do the offset. So for Canvas and Illustrator, you want to use offset. For Inkscape and Affinity, you want to use the stroke. So, just so we can show the stroke. silly thingy gone? I hate all these little icons. Yeah, there's something that annoyed me. See, the only thing I really use Inkscape for these days is tracing stuff, because Affinity can't do it yet. I'll come back to that when I can see what I'm doing. So, any questions so far? Look at that one on the Big Mac, I think. It's just too small on there.
Well, Inkscape's a stream all of its own, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, because it's totally different to anything else you use. Okay. So as I was saying, the reason that we get you to do it so that it's a frame isn't just so that when you're moving about and resizing it, it stays together, but we can actually start to do something a bit more funky with it. So I've come back to the designer, and I'm going to pick up my doodle that I did this morning, and I'm just going to copy it. So that's Command C or Control C, and then I'm going to paste it into my new document. So you can see I've got my tulips, and I don't want to shrink them because obviously then we're going to get too thin, and bear in mind that this is the thinnest we should be going. If anything, this needs to go up a bit. So press and hold shift so we keep it in proportion, and probably about there is kind of the narrowest I would want to cut it, maybe even a bit bigger. So that's just because of these sections here. Okay.
Cal was asked, would you recommend Affinity over the other two that you used?
Yes. Yeah. For most crafters, I would recommend Affinity Designer over any other software. Basically because Illustrator is so powerful that you'll probably only ever use about 10% of what it's actually capable of doing. And Inkscape is such a pig to learn. Absolute pig. And I find it quite unwieldy. Yes, if you can get into it enough, it's got a really powerful back end. So there's some of the stuff you can do with it is fantastic. But the chances of me being able to get everybody to that point are like tiny. It would be literally that we would be sitting here every day doing Inkscape for about a month at least. Every day, all day.
Lots of one-on-ones.
Lots of one-on-ones.
Team view never works out.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just not, what's the word I'm looking for? Not user-friendly, but it's just not intuitive. That's the word I'm looking for, intuitive. So what I'm going to do, because I'm aware that that is still going to be quite thin, I can actually start to strengthen designs as well. So I'm going to go in here, I'm going to zoom in, and I'm doing this so that we can actually do a decorative frame. So I'm just going to go straight to my vector brush. I'm going to put it so that the pressure of my pen controls it. But you don't have to use that option. You can just as easily do it with the pencil tool and apply your pressure manually if you feel more confident doing it that way. So for instance, I did all this on my iPad with a new little gadget that I'll show you, which is cool. And that has no pressure in it whatsoever. So. And one thing I will do is make my stroke black, just so it blends in. There we go.
And Carol's good because she's bought the Affinity for one of the 90-day trials.
Yeah, much prefer Affinity.
Not United over the whole thing as well, isn't it? Because it's still a fairly new program.
Yeah.
They're just bringing out more and more features for it all the time. So.
Yeah. So although this is drawing in lines, you can still colour in with it as such. So if you notice, although I'll do like the outside stroke as like a path, I can then go back in and I can just do a dot or a line or such. So I'm just going to go back in and just edit this bit. If you're not happy with any lines at the end of the day, you can just delete them out. I'm just going to add another little leaf just here, just so it doesn't look quite so regimented. And the same here. You can even carry straight on through if you want to. So where it's really thin just here, we can actually start to strengthen it. So if you wanted to, we could put in, I'm using artistic license, these aren't supposed to look like actual, any particular type of flower, it's just a flower. Okay, so I'm just going to put that in there. And we can leave some little highlights if we want to. Just as long as we always make sure that most of the detail is strong enough to take a little bit of adhesive. And we can do the same here and go a little bit bigger. And I will join that up in a minute. So, there we go. And again, I'm going to go up through the centre. Good time for the scrap man to come. So if you watch the foiling stream that we did a while back, we showed you how to shade with your drawing as well. So you can do that too if you want to. And you can keep that as a separate drawing there. And I can do the same over here. What?
You make it look so easy.
And then I go and do that.
Not really clever.
No, I'm not, am I? Could do with wearing a bandage actually. My hand's blowing me up quite a bit at the moment. It's just colouring in. That's what you have to bear in mind. It's just colouring in.
A bit of drawing.
Bit of doodling. So if you join in with Barbara's doodling sessions, you're well away. because she's already teaching you how to do it. You just then have to apply that same kind of action to the pen.
It's much easier to correct on there.
Yeah, undo button. Delete. So we can even do big leaf down here, and we can just okay, I'll come back and do that bit. And just go in here. So it's a bit quicker. There you go. So all I did was just increase my brush size. That's open square bracket.
Yes, I think so. Carol said. So George said then keep going in strokes inside the shape to colour rather than using a large brush and trying to fill all at the same time.
Yeah, most of the time, yeah. Unless it's a particularly large shape like just. Again, we can just do another couple of leaves here just to help reinforce this section. So the whole point is that you're just building in a bit of strength. So if you can see something's going to struggle, just help it out a little bit. Okay. So then when we go to our panel down here, we can go all the way back to, there we go, our original shape here. We can select all. We can go to expand stroke. So now we have all our shapes, and if it does something weird like that, don't panic. So for starters, see why it's gone a bit weird, and if it's something that you think you can easily fix, which I'm sure I can, you can weld it first. Okay. So then if you start to see, and this is kind of just Affinity that really does this, if you weld something and you see this kind of weird shape going on here, undo your weld, and 9 times out of 10 you'll find if you then weld your individual pieces first, you'll negate that. So if we go undo, so you can see you've got lots of things that are overlaying themselves. So it tends to get itself in a bit of a muddle, but that's fine. So while I'm sorting this out, then I can sort this out. So that's just this random dot down here, and I can get to it. If we go like that, just delete them, and go down here and delete these. It's just where it's done a few extra points on what it needed to do. And the thing is to get used to kind of fixing the issues as well. So I'm just going to weld that one first. And I'm going to select the next bit and weld it. Select the next bit and weld it. Select the next bit and weld it. And then you'll see that you've got rid of that issue. And any little gaps that you missed, you can just delete. Okay, then you can carry on working then.
How are you deleting your nodes, Carol?
Okay, to delete nodes, so press A to pull up your node tool, and then when you can see all your little nodes, all you need to do is just click and drag a square over the top and just press backspace or delete. You can do it that way. And then we've taken out that really fine detail that just wouldn't cut well. And same with these little ones up here. I'm just going to take those out. And we can even do the same up here if we want to.
So looking when they go like a darker blue or a filled blue, they're selected.
So if you're seeing something a bit weird going on, take it out. And even if, let's say you have something that seems to be unfixable, 9 times out of 10 if you put a shape over the top like a plaster and weld it, you can still fix it that way. A bit like how we did with the boxes.
Carl's been trying to click on one node and delete that, which has not worked.
Yeah, it probably has worked. It's probably that there's a lot more than one node in the same place. Affinity is very good at kind of putting multiple nodes in exactly the same place, which is really awkward.
So hence you're better with the click and drag because it selects all of them rather than just...
Yeah. So, hopefully. So when you can see that you've got most of that shape there, if you just do a quick drag over the top just to check you haven't missed anything. So if you had, when you did that, it would then pull up whatever you've missed. Okay, then we can do the same over here. And then we can do the same with the nose over here. So you want to take out any little shapes because they'll struggle at smaller sizes to cut. So anything that's thin, anything that doesn't look like it's meant to be there, take it out.
Because when we did the box and had to delete the stroke over the dotted lines, I struggled to delete the stroke.
Right, okay. When we did the triangle box. Yeah. So again, we've got a few that are overlapping down here, so we can... See, because it's right in the way of that one dot, you don't want to take that one out. And if we try and do it that way, but instead what we've got to do is come from inside the shape. As long as you've got the node tool selected, you'll be alright because it won't move the shape. And all these points in between here, I'm just going to delete and take out. So these little thin lines up here, we need to just get rid of. So I'm just literally just clicking and dragging over the top. And even this one here is too thin really. Just go careful around the outside of your shape. And again, if there's anything that just looks a bit distorted, you can fix it while you're going round. The other thing to look for when we're doing paths is if you have anything where you've got lots and multiple nodes like this, you need to thin them down because that's when your machine goes I mean, you don't notice it so much with the DX, but certainly with the CM you'll be able to hear when you haven't got something like your design because it goes
it comes up with a time of like half an hour to get something simple.
Yeah. So that's when you need to kind of go in here and go, well actually. And also, the shape of the node reflects the type of line that it's doing. So if it's a sharp line, it'll be a square. So if you've got like a sharp change in the design. But if it's supposed to be smooth, you'll see that it's a nice circle. And when we're doing organic shapes, you want to see far more circles than you do squares. Here's a bit weird too, so I'm going to take that out. Take that one out. I'm going to try and grab the handle, which is always tricky on some of these nodes. If you can't do it, delete that one and go to the next one. And we can just pull that up slightly. Take out the next node because it's causing issues. I can just smooth that down. So, going to go back to my move tool with V.
I was asking, is this flower homework for this afternoon?
Yes. All it is a brush pen to do the stem. And then the flowers themselves are made up using teardrop shapes. So either 3 or 5. So if I go in here, and I think I'm just going to leave this one as a nice solid shape, just because there's quite a bit of detail in there and we don't need detail at that size. See, we have a nice solid leaf now. We'll go to the next bit. Doesn't matter if you don't catch it all at once, that's fine. And again. And go in between points until you've got a bit of clear space to work with. As long as you don't take out any of your outside points, you're absolutely fine. And in terms of nodes up, that's almost a bit excessive, but it'll be fine because they're smooth, so it should just follow it around nicely. I'm not too worried about getting rid of those. Oop. That's just because I caught the line. And we can do the same up here. Well, those. The trick is just not to panic with it or think that you're doing something wrong, because 9 times out of 10 you won't be doing something wrong.
Don't forget the power of undo.
Oh yes. If you don't like something, just use undo. So.
Greatest feature ever designed on a computer.
Yeah. If you're using the iPad version of Affinity, the undo function is under the history panel, which is a bit of an odd place to put it, which is why I'm like, I'll just tell you where it is, because otherwise you end up searching for it for hours.
Was that you this morning, was it?
What, undo? Yeah.
Searching for hours.
Oh, no, I knew where it was. I was just having to use it lots this morning.
Mm-hmm.
So it overlaps the stem, it really doesn't matter, because that will be fixed in the next weld. So next is this big one. I'm just going to take those all out. And then there's just a few up the top. The other thing to note with the nodes is where you have a red dot, that shows the origin of the shape. So that's where your machine would start to cut. But it's also handy for seeing if there's other shapes that are hiding in that shape. So for instance, when you've got like the detail in here, you'll see each bit of that detail has a red dot. So you can see straight away where you've got a shape that is hiding. Zoom in a bit more just to do this one. Any questions?
Well, my last question I have is Carol asking if it was homework.
Cool. So your homework is doing the frame full stop so that we have one ready for later. So you want to have a few different size frames that are plain. You want to have a few that we're going to decorate like I'm going to do with this. And then I'm going to show you one other trick with frames before we go. She says.
Carol says she thinks he's scared of woodwork.
Huh?
Yeah, she's gone panic and gone to do their flowers before.
No, don't panic. No need to panic. It's supposed to be nice and relaxing to have a hobby, not stressful. Okay, so gonna weld that all together. So now we don't have any weird bits happening, it's all welded just so. I'm going to take a copy of my 100mm frame and I'm going to make it a bit bigger just so we have, bear in mind that now we know that this line is thicker than our thinnest tape, so always compare that back to there. Probably still a little narrow, so we'll go a little bit bigger.
Tracy says she is watching, she's doing stuff for the family at the same time.
Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to duplicate my flowers. So that's Command J or Control J. Okay, so I have 2 copies in my layers. I'm going to select my bottom one and my square, so those 2. And I'm going to weld them together. So I now have, if I hide this top layer, I have a frame where we have our welded shape, and then I have the detail that I can put on top. Okay, so when we start to use frames and things, we can use them to build up a shape, we can use them to strengthen the design as well. I'm just going to go on this one, and I can see that something weird's gone on here, but that's fine because we can fix it. So if I turn this one on, and I'm just going to send it backwards so it's underneath our frame, then I can see what's going on here. And it's just lost a bit of its detail, that's fine. Turn it into a smooth point by using this button here. So if I just zoom in, when you have a node that you want to change, so remember how we were saying about sharp nodes, so that would be a square node, and a smooth node that would be a circle node. Okay. If I zoom in this way, I can just tweak that carefully, just so it lines up. And it's as close to, it won't be perfect, but by the time you've cut it out, you won't notice it. We're talking about hairs of a millimetre. Okay. We can pop that back up again, so we have our 2 layers, and we can group. Okay, so far so good. So I'm going to start a new page, and you don't have to do this, I'm just doing it for space. Okay, and I'm going to start with just a normal rectangle, so you can press M for that. Okay, and I'm going to press P for path, and I'm going to draw a line, and I'm going to give that a width of 4 mil. Now I'm going to use this as a reference point, so I know that that's the thinnest I really want to be going in my design. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make up a frame that's built from little tiles. So I'm going to start off with my stroke, and I'm going to say that's 4 mil. And I'm going to send it to the inside. So that's the outside of my tile. Okay. At this point I can go to layer, I can expand the stroke, and I can get rid of that original rectangle. Now what I'm going to do is anything I draw in that, I can then weld to that back panel. So I'm going to go to the path tool, and I can just start to do, let's see, some little doodles. So I'm going to go from corner to corner. Okay, I'm going to press A to get to my nodes, and I can give it a curve this direction. And then as soon as I've got this handle up, I can twist this one back this way. So if we make that handle vertical and this handle vertical, we know we have a nice swoosh. And all that's done is with 2 nodes. So we can then highlight it, Command and J to duplicate it, and we can flip it. So we now have a nice little crisscross. Now if we want to, we can come in here and we can just do a little triangle. It doesn't have to be perfect, because we can go back and we can edit it. So if we know we wanted to go there, we want that point to kind of come down a little. So you can still nudge it with the keyboard as long as it's blue. Okay, and we can always nudge that one just to get it nice and even. We can duplicate that one and we can flip it. Okay, so bear in in mind, we've got our formula in our mind all the time, so we're checking that that is going to be correct. We're checking that the shapes that we draw are going to be round about that similar sort of size, and that our gaps are also that similar sort of size. So next I'm going to go in here, I'm going to give it a curve. Ignore the stroker for the moment because we're going to go and do this as a solid shape. I'm going to curve here, we're going to come back up here and back across to close it. Okay, and we're going to fill it with black. And same with these, we're going to fill them with black too. It looks like they are because the size of the stroke, but that's just an optical illusion, so to speak. So now we can fix this so it lines up a bit better accurately. And we can duplicate it and flip it. Okay. So I'm happy with that. So our two powers, we're going to go to there and expand stroke so that we get a shape. Our filled shapes are already shapes as they are, and our outside frame is a shape. So now we can select all of that and we can weld it. So then if we go to the node tool, you can see where your blade is going to go. So it's going to go around the inside of here, around the inside of here, and at the moment it's going to go around the outside. Okay, so we can get rid of our little sample path now.
Just on 12 o'clock speed.
Okay, it's okay, I'm not going to be much longer.
No, I'm just seeing
So bear in mind that we don't want to go any smaller, so at this point don't shrink the box. Okay, it's going to be a nice big frame, this one, and you're going to want to join the pieces together. So you want to make sure that when you're moving, you're getting your green line between your two shapes as well as your red line at top and bottom. And we're going to duplicate it, and again make sure you get your green line, duplicate it, make sure you get your red line, duplicate it again, and again, and again, and again. So if at this point you can see that there's something that's not lining up quite right, that's okay. We can go back in and we can just nudge it just so that it all ends up looking correct. So if you get any white lines, you just want to make sure that everything comes in so there's nothing that is out of place. Okay. So then we can select all of our boxes and we can weld. So you should now have a path that looks like that. So I've done this one quite bold so you can kind of see the theory nice and clearly, and it should also be fairly easy for you to cut. When we start to get a bit more intricate, it can start to become a little fiddly. So going for something nice and bold to get you started. So your homework for the next couple of hours is to do a frame with a flower, a decorative frame like this, and also a few different frames that we can take across the machine so that we can have a play on there too. Okay, and we'll see you back here at 2.
Yeah, don't forget you've got Pete at 12:30 with his giveaway today. I believe he's back at 4 again with his maker card today. And we've also got Lou's just started at 12, I believe. And hopefully we've got Leslie and David back today at 1:30. Enjoy your couple of hours playing, and we'll see you all at 2 o'clock.
Bye for now.
Bye.